Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram Srivasangan chapter morning um, Bhagavad Gita class. We are in the 10th chapter. Today we will be discussing the 9th verse. So we are taking darshan of our deities. We'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. So we can go into the verse. Machchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantaha Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So this chapter is called the opulence of the Absolute. So the Krishna is so opulent that everybody is so much attracted to him. So that is also an opulence here. What is Krishna's opulence here? You can think. But then how he makes people become so much glued to him, that is his opulence, right? So if you think of it, it's very amazing. So this verse particularly talks about the characteristics of a pure devotee. Okay. And it also talks about the symptoms of a pure devotee. So very important. Now, Machchitta Madgata Prana. See, the thoughts of the pure devotees all the time dwell in the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means they are 24/7 thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are just sharing about his glories. They are discussing amongst themselves. They are trying to take that to so many other people across the bliss of pure devotional service. So this is the characteristics of a pure devotee. And this devotional service is a gradual process. And here the science, see, this Krishna consciousness is a perfect science. It's not like, okay, let's do speculate something and then, let's see, maybe it will happen. No. This is a perfect process given, and Krishna says in the 4th chapter, he's saying, this science of Krishna consciousness has been, this yoga has been tried out by many people in the past, and when you are following in their footpath, you can also achieve the same result. So that means this is science, right? You can perform it as per the prescription, and you will get the result in the way it is. That is science, actually. It's not like, okay, you try, maybe you will get it, but maybe you may not get. It's not like that. If you follow this prescribed, just like we go to a laboratory and perform some experiment, right? Unless we mix the wrong ingredient, it may not happen. But if you mix the correct ingredient and the correct quantity and do all the process, the result will come exactly like that. So that is science, and this is also science. So here, this devotional service, Prabhupada is explaining that in the initial stages, it basically starts with that, your desire to take up some activity. And that activity is more aligned to what you want to do, you and I want to do. Like, that's why if you see in ISKCON, Prabhupada has given amazing different kind of services. And people have different flavors for, attraction to different activities. Some people would like to, nicely dress up the Lord. They can take up devotion, they can take up a pujari service. Like, many people are fashion designers. You can actually become a nice pujari. right? You can dress up the Lord nicely, and then thousands of people, when take darshan of the Lord, they get attracted to the Lord because of your contribution to the designing of the cloths like this. Like this, anybody, if someone who wants to speak, glorify the Lord nicely, that attracts everybody like that. Someone who can sing nicely, just do an amazing kirtan that everybody is just glued on to that person's kirtan. And so from the person's point of view, what happens is he or she is actually more interested in the service that I am doing, right? It's not about the pure devotional life or, nothing like that. It's just that he is liking to do that job. I'm doing it here. Like, I may do some nice accounting job in my office, but I may do the same thing. Okay, let me do it as a, in ISKCON's also has some accounting work to do. Let me do it. They may do it like that. So this is the beginning stage. So they may take up the service. But here it is mentioned, Prabhupada writes, in course of time, the person is fixed up in the service to the Lord, not in the activity per se. Like that means that doesn't mean he's not going to perform this activity nicely. No, it's like this. There's a means and an end. You do a means to achieve an end. But one thing in Krishna consciousness is the means and the end are both the same. That means the person actually gets, like, if I am when I sing, I get happiness. This is a statement. I sing, I get happiness. Let's say I sing film songs. I get happiness, maybe, that is there. But here it is mentioned, when you sing Harinam or when you sing bhajans or anything in relation to Krishna, you get transcendental happiness. That happiness is there. Here the additional word is used as transcendental. So that activity which I am doing just for the sake of activity, when I perform for Krishna, it becomes transcendental. Transcendental means it is not in this material sphere. It is in the spiritual sphere. And whether I realize it or not, but that activity is in that strata. That is very important. So the mean, and ultimately we are going to be doing that. That also we will see. We are going to be doing that there even after we go back to the spiritual world. If I'm a Kirtaniya, I will continue to do Kirtan there also. So nothing is going to change. So the activity, initially I do it as an activity, but in course of time, I'm fixed on the purpose of this activity, which is to please that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even in the beginning stage, I am in transcendental bliss. But at the end stage, what happens is also been nicely explained by Prabhupada. He says, at the end stage, this person who's doing this pure devotional service, he reaches this perfection like the Lord in the spiritual world. That's a very powerful word Prabhupada uses. It's here, you see. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they release the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. And this is the point I was mentioning, what I'm going to read now. Once situated in this transcendental position, they can release the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. That means you also exhibit the same perfection the Lord exhibits in the spiritual world. This is amazing, right? A pure devotee's position is that so powerful, almost like the God, like the Lord himself, like that. So this process is explained by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Prabhupada writes in chapter 19. So what is that process? This process is, there are millions and trillions of jivas which are roaming around the 14 planetary systems, and in many such planetary systems, so many billions of 14 planetary systems are floating all over the universe. There are so many billions of jivas. But by the mercy of a pure devotee, if one jiva gets to take up this devotional service and he naturally starts chanting the holy name of the Lord, then there is this thing called the creeper, right? The Bhakti Lata Bija, they call the Bhakti Lata, they say that is the creeper which develops. So this pure devotee of the Lord, he actually, when he comes in contact with us, he just sows that seed in our heart. That's all. And then in just that he has sowed the seed in our heart, and naturally he gives us some instructions, chant the holy name of the Lord. And as we chant the holy name of the Lord, that creeper starts growing up, I believe. And that creeper just keeps growing, and we all know there are, I think, 7 stratas or whatever. All these 5 elements are there. There are layers and layers of these 7 elements. Like if it is 10 kilometers, the next one is 20 kilometers, the next one is 40 kilometers, like that. These 5 elements, there is a covering above our this one. So this creeper goes penetrating each of those layers and then bursts out of this material world. And then it goes into the Brahma Jyoti area. So, surrounding this is the Brahma Jyoti area. Then it goes above and beyond the Brahma Jyoti, and there you can see millions of other planets, spiritual planets floating around. And it just keeps going further, and it finally reaches the topmost planet, which is the Goloka Vrindavan. And there it goes and it finally reaches the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And once it reaches there, it rests there, Prabhupada writes. And as it is resting, in the course of time, it starts developing very beautiful fruits and flowers and all that. And it is still continued to be watered by the Harinam Sankirtana, that the person down below in this way, some is there. And by this chanting process, by this devotional service that he is doing, that creeper is nourished, and then it gives nice fruits which are offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is very nicely explained. And if you really see, this process is actually very straight away given by Prabhupada. He didn't say give it, you all start becoming perfect, then we will see. He engaged us in all the people in this planet Earth very easily in just 11 years time. He just brought these things. He brought the highest thing and gave it in a very simple manner, that without knowing we are trying to do this, right? If you see in ISKCON, it is what it is like. The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. That's what is happening, right, in ISKCON. If you see, all the time we are having classes, all the time Kirtan, all the time Abhishekam, all the time Prasadam. Right, there is no end to this bliss that we get in our movement, and sometimes we cannot even realize what Prabhupada has given to us. This is amazing. Now, this is glorified, in that. Well, this is the platform, but the engine for this is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the conclusion that Prabhupada is writing. Says the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually about the complete narration of the relationship of the pure devotee with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore it is very, very dear to every Vaishnava is writing. And it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, 12, 13, 18. Srimad Bhagavata Puranam Mamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. So every Vaishnava is feeling so dear to this Srimad Bhagavatam, because it talks about the Lord and the pure devotee and their wonderful relationship. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it starts straight away. There is no confusion about, do some karma kanda activity. It's okay. You start off with this, nothing. Straight away, it goes to the core and it says this material activities or karma kanda are all a completely waste of it. It starts even in the first chapter. Such verses are there which says it's all a complete waste of time. People who can't even go further. Oh, then this is not for me. Many people may leave it. But Srimad Bhagavatam does not mince words. It straight away comes to this highest point of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, not everybody can relish Srimad Bhagavatam unless they have some understanding of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And then they can come to this point of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why it said, you read Bhagavad Gita first, then come to Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, they may get disoriented. What is this? He's saying, no need to do any material karma kandi activities like that. So that is there. Thus, the realized soul in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literature, just as the young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Prabhupada is giving us what we can actually relate easily in this material world, right? He says, if everybody can relate to this, how the opposite sexes are so much attracted. People are just, on the phone all the time. You can see people when they are, I don't know, morning, I don't want to talk about this. But, people are so much caught up in this relationship that, they don't know how much time they have spent on the phone. The phone bill suddenly becomes much bigger. People can relate all these things. But Prabhupada is equating to just give us a glimpse of, That means it is so much interesting that, people, for a Vaishnava, about attraction to the Srimad Bhagavatam, that they can go on and on and on and on for hours together, for days together, like that. So, so that's the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the engine around which this entire movement is built. That Srimad Bhagavatam forms the core of our engagement in Krishna consciousness, and the platform is our nice ISKCON organization. And we have our Acharya Srila Prabhupada, and he has he's empowered many of his wonderful disciples who are giving the same message, who are already in that state of pure devotional service, and they are having the ability to sow that seed of Bhakti Lata in our heart. And we are seeing everybody's Bhakti Lata is growing. We can see the difference. And so, we have the right platform, we have the right engine, we have everything in place. All we need to do is just simply sit and just go on in this journey to reach Goloka Vrindavan. So the point is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada chants this mantra in this verse. He writes full Hare Krishna mantra in this verse, in this purport also. So I will end here. If there are any questions, we can take. Hare Krishna.